Again, are you serving this like as an appetizer? I'm really curious to see how it tastes though. It smells delicious. Canned lobster, who knew? Hi, I'm Alexis deBoschnek and I'm back making another retro recipe from a vintage Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. Today I'm gonna make Lobster Newberg. I don't know what Lobster Newberg is, to be honest. I have never had it before, I've never made it. I don't know anyone that's made it, so this should be a real adventure. The recipe asks you to make pastry petal cups. So I've got to roll out some puff pastry, use this little cutter to make some petals, and we'll bake it off. I really love puff pastry. I think having pre-made puff pastry is like an incredible invention. It feels like it kind of is of the era of the 50s of, having something ready-made where you can make it sweet, savory, take it in so many directions. And it really doesn't take much to get it ready. So there's not a lot of instruction on how to do this. And by not a lot, I mean there is none. But I'm imagining that if we kind of like make a little like flower, I think if I just kind of like seal the middle, that looks like a petal. That looks like a flower to me. Okay, now that my petal cups are ready, I'm gonna prick it with a fork. It literally just says prick, period. But I'm guessing you prick all over? It's kind of hard to prick without the petals coming apart. The puff pastry is gonna get really big and really puffy, and if you don't do this, it could just kind of puff together. And we do want these to have a center so that they can be filled eventually. Okay, I'm gonna bake off my 5 petal cups and move on to the next part. Okay, I'm gonna grab my pastry petal cups, let them cool, and then move on to the filling. They look very cute. So I just wanna get everything prepared, and the recipe calls for 4 egg yolks. Slipped right out. I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay, so the recipe says to melt the butter easy, and we're basically just making a roux right now. So I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of flour and just whisk until it's like a light golden brown. Now I'm gonna add the cream. It looks thin right now, but it's totally gonna thicken up thanks to the roux. That's kind of the whole point. You can see that the sauce is starting to thicken. The recipe doesn't specify how thick, but I know it's gonna keep thickening as it cooks, so I think I might just lower the heat. Okay, got my egg yolks, gotta give them a little beating. And then it says to stir a small amount of the sauce into the egg yolks, and we're just doing this to temper the egg yolks so that they won't like totally cook and curdle when they're added to the sauce. Egg yolks go back in, and it says to cook for a minute. This they are specific about. Look how thick this sauce is, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna let that go for a second, although I should be stirring. I should have got my lemon juice prepared before. Woo. And it says to add the canned lobster. This was so hard to find. Canned lobster is like not really a thing anymore. Wow, the color is so beautiful. I was wondering if it was gonna be like weird and overcooked, but it looks gorgeous. This lobster's actually in butter, which sounds pretty cool. The butter kind of goes with the whole like creamy vibe. Okay, we've got the lobster, we've got the lemon, we've got the sherry, and salt, and stir. I think this is done. It just has to heat through. The color is pretty. It looks kind of like a lobster bisque. I wish there was a photo because I really don't have a reference for what this should look like, but I guess it's okay. Okay, now it says serve in the pastry petal cups. Okay, I've got my 5 pastry petal cups, and the filling of here is so small. Like, it's hard to imagine that we're gonna use up all this sauce. Also, I followed the recipe to a T. It said to only cook it for 1 minute. I probably went over, and it's so liquidy. I guess I imagined it to be more thick. They're very cute. Again, are you serving this like as an appetizer? Are you serving this like as an hors d'oeuvre? This feels like it's like but this would be crazy to serve it. I have so many questions. I'm not sure if a measuring cup is the best method for this, but again, they don't specify, so. Okay, to finish, it just says to sprinkle with some paprika, add a little color, I love that. I'm really curious to see how it tastes though. It smells delicious. Canned lobster, who knew? I have to assume that these were served as hors d'oeuvres, but I wonder if you're going around to the party, like, are you using a plate and a knife and fork? I would imagine you're just eating it like this. This wasn't quite what I expected. I think the filling is definitely on the way. I think I would have preferred it if it had been cooked a little more so it could have thickened up. And so the sherry could have been cooked off. Like the sherry was just added and warmed through, so you're just getting like booze, which honestly feels like the 50s. I love the lobster. Honestly, the canned lobster, what a revelation. I mean, cooking lobster isn't that hard, but canned stuff totally works. I think with a few tweaks, this could be like a slam dunk recipe, but I think overall, it's decent. I was looking through Better Homes and Gardens to see, what kind of lobster recipes would be, fitting for today. I found poached lobster with clarified butter, which sounds delicious. I mean, lobster and butter, classic combination. I also found a lobster mac and cheese casserole, which just sounds so good to me. And I feel like that kind of like follows the same vibe as this, like chunks of lobster with creamy goodness. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had Lobster Newberg, if you've ever made it, and if you'd ever try it.